Well, would you look at that? It looks like Yamina's found a big old egg. So I'm gonna open it up and let's see what's inside. Now I have an egg. I got dark orange wyvern. Oh, that means I can ride a wyvern. That's pretty cool. So yeah, apparently there's a bunch of eggs going around right now. And Lord, let me tell you, I like me some egg to get some Easter egg hunting, and I'm gonna get me some items. But today I wanted to talk about some stuff with Yamina, and I also wanted to talk about some stuff with ooh, black orc flesh dye. That's kind of cool. It's kind of green. I like green. Oh, look, I think I could see another one. Oh, there's just all kinds of these around here. Although, like I said, that's not the main point of my, oh, like I said, they're already opened. You can't take what's inside of them. But that's perfectly fine, because otherwise I'd have so much stuff. But, I've been running around, and, I have been wanting to level up Yamina for a little bit. But, honestly, I've been playing so many different games. I recently got Demon Souls, the remastered Demon Souls. I've been loving that. I have Resident Evil 4, and I've been playing an absolute ton of that. I got Crab Champions, and that's a lot of fun and really cool. So, I've been playing all kinds of different games, and I haven't really had time to level up the beautiful, badass, and cool Yamina, or at least I haven't been playing as much. So now my new goal in the short term here is to level up Yamina and get her to level 30, because I think that would be a lot of cool and funness, you know? Or at least that is my current desire. And, I'm always running around these elvish lands because honestly, I think the elf lands are some of the prettiest in the game. Ooh. So I always really enjoy running around in there, and you get to see some pretty cool stuff, some pretty cool people. The elves have really cool armor, but that's not any of the stuff I'm talking about today. Today, I wanted to talk about foreign relationships within the empire, and basically mostly the relationships with other human nations. And I also kind of want to talk a little bit about like the experience of Yamina and her family in the empire, being foreign, just because she is technically half Tilean, half um, Arabian, and that's kind of been an interesting little bit of an experience. Some people don't really know how to interact with her because they think, oh, she's a foreign, even though that she's been born and raised mostly in the Empire. She has, of course, visited Araby and Tilea, but she spent most of her life in the Empire, and she fights on the side of the Empire in most things like that. It's not like Khadija. Khadija is much more of a world traveler, going all the way to Far Cathay to get like some nice shoes. I mean, she didn't travel all that way just to get shoes, but the shoes were there, so she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna get me some nice Cathayan silk shoes." But when Yumi has been all over the place, and I thought it was kind of interesting because, depending on what exactly you're reading, the Empire's interactions with foreigners is a little bit different from place to place. But this is, for instance, a quote here. I'm proud to wear the Imperial Eagle on my armor. We're the greatest nation in the old world. If he's an Empire man born and bred, even the most stinking thief in my cells is twice the man of a perfumed Bretonnian or a wheedling Tilean. And that's Johann Strauss, Altdorf Harbor Watchman. It's actually kind of interesting, though, because not every Imperial... like, sometimes we depict the Empire as being full of ignorant louts and those kinds of things, and like a lot of people who that they're ignorant, and they're not really too interested in like what the empire really has to say, or or like I'm sorry, what people outside of the empire really have to say, and like what their opinions and beliefs are. You know, usually they're much more concerned with just being like, oh man, Empire best. But you know, that's not necessarily always the way people are. There is a character, for instance, in the Gotcha Confu. Ooh, another egg. Let's see what's inside. Is it going to be an egg? Probably. Let's see. Ooh, Snotling green dye. Some more dyes. That's good. You know, I was kind of been thinking about like what color I'd want to dye my armor, so maybe I can get some dyes that I can use to dye my armor, and that would be cool. But you know, there's a character in the Gotrek and Felix novels who, for instance, is a doctor, an educated doctor, and he went to Araby to learn medicine, and he's, you know, Araby has like, for instance, oops, wait, is Araby? Oh wow, she's just using a lot of kung fu here. I am not. Wait a minute. Does she have her sword? Yeah, she totally has her sword equipped, but for some reason she's not like using her. Okay, whatever. It's fine. Yamin is so cool that she's just gonna do some kung fu. She's been playing a lot of Resident Evil 4 too, and she's like, I know how to use my kung fu to defeat a lizard. And look at that, she did. Very good. But anyway, you know, there's all kinds of. Ooh. What are you guys doing out here? Just hanging out? Going for a little ride? That's understandable. I hope you have a nice ride. I'm not gonna fight him right now because that's not why I'm here. Oh, there's another egg over there. Hmm. Now here's the question: can I sneak over and get that egg? But you know, like this doctor, he goes to Araby and he learns about medicine and things like that because Araby actually has much more advanced medicine, and they have a decent amount of philosophy and certain advanced technologies. They don't have as, you know, advanced of gunpowder per se. From at least everything I've been able to read about Araby, there's no, in official lore. There is also, you know, the Warhammer Armies project, which adds some lore to Araby. But everything I've been able to read in official lore, Araby doesn't have as much gunpowder stuff, and there's a variety of reasons for that. And some of it seems like people just kind of made reasons up, but it is kind of interesting. But you know, yeah, this guy goes to Araby to learn medicine. There's also things like certain wealthy people will have like silk from Cathay, or they'll have like some steel from Nippon. They have all kinds of different things that are kind of mixed around there, and you can read a variety of novels that take place like within the Empire, and sometimes you'll get some very interesting stuff like people talking about like their exotic travels or things like that. There's also a Gotrek and Felix short that I recently bought that I'm going to read because I wanted to do a video on Araby, because, you know, Araby is one of my favorite areas. Partially because I am very fond of, in the real world, reading about the Arab people and their history, as well as like the Islamic kingdoms and their history. So it's kind of fun to read about Araby and like see the little things they've added here and there. But yeah, so there is stuff like that. Although Araby and the Empire aren't really allies. There are actually Empire colonies or like owned areas in Araby, and there is trade between Araby and the Empire. Previously there was a crusade and all that fun stuff, but they actually do have some relations now. I know in the Warhammer Armies Projects version, they added the idea that in Araby, Sigmar worship is banned. At least from what I've read, I haven't seen anything in any official source that actually says that. I think so. That might be something they added. But yeah, so you do get stuff like that, and there isn't very much about like, for instance, the Empire's relationship with oh, there's the egg. Okay. The Empire's relationship with okay, I'm not 100% sure why she's not pulling out her sword. It's kind of weird. Well, maybe after this combat I should probably although it is kind of cool to just see her like doing this kung fu stuff. That's kind of awesome, actually. I mean, she still seems to be damaging them, so it's not like it's a big deal, I guess. It's just kind of... Oh, hello. You want some too, huh? Did you know that Yamina has fists of steel and shoes of steel? Although the shoes are literally made of steel, so that's a little different. But, you know, like the fists, like she's really strong. That's what I'm saying there. She's strong. So that is a little different, but still, it's okay. But yeah, no, there isn't really very much mentioned about like actual relationships with Cathay outside of like the... Oh my goodness, am I also getting shot? Oh, that's why I'm losing health so quickly. But yeah, there is a little bit in Total War Warhammer 3, but there's not actually very much in like official sources. Although I can think of an example. I think it's actually the same doctor. He has some stuff from Cathay, just like Cathay silk shoes. I think I've seen mentioned multiple times. I've also seen there was one guy who in once again in the Gotrek and Felix books who had... Okay, sir. I'm trying to get some egg. I'm not interested in your bullshit. You think you can come around here and just decide that you can beat me up? Well, let me tell you, I know so much kung fu that I can kick your bolts out of the air. Like, as they're flying towards me, just go down. You can't even, okay? You can't. Impossible. Okay, now. But, yeah, it's mentioned, like, people do travel to these far-off places. It doesn't seem like there's very much in terms of, like, official relations. Oh, there's the egg. Ooh. That's pretty good. I wonder how much that's worth if I... Even an invalid target. It's a horse! The horse is not an invalid target because it's attacking me. Because it's silly. Imagine a horse runs up to you and you just like karate kick it and it goes down. I mean, I think you'd feel pretty cool if you were able to do that. Although I don't really want to kick a horsey. That seems rude. But yeah, so there's not a whole heck of a lot mentioned there in terms of actual relationships in the official lore and stuff like that. There are like you can read about like in Outdorf and in places like Marienburg, for instance, which, you know, touchy subject about whether or not they're actually part of the Empire. But, you know, in Marienburg and stuff, it is mentioned that there are people from all the way over to like the Kushan places, or not Kushan because that's Berserk, but it's like I think it's Kushite, or no, the Kushlands. It's something like that. I can't remember. It's like one of the very minor nations that's like mentioned like once in official lore, and then people like went all over the place with it. It's kind of interesting that they do that, but yeah. So you do get some official mentions of like Cathayans like going all the way to like Marienburg to trade and things like that, and also like, you know, same thing with like people from Ulthuan and other places. So that's kind of interesting. But we do have some more information about certain... Wow, there's just a lot of these eggs around here. I wonder how long after you open them they, like, regenerate. Or respawn or whatever. Let's see. Ooh, more dye. Cool. But yeah, so there is stuff like that. But now we're going to read a little bit about like the actual lore with Bretonnia. The Empire's relations with Bretonnia have not always been harmonious. In the days of Sigmar, the Bretonnia tribes refused to join Heldenhammer's alliance. While the Empire was founded only a year after the Battle of Black Pass, it was 980 years until Giles le Breton united the Bretonnia tribes and founded a new kingdom. Since the Empire is the elder state by nearly a millennia, its rulers have often taken an arrogant approach to their dealings with Bretonnia. When the noble descendants of Giles de Breton have not appreciated. Okay, now I understand why I said that. During the Great War against Chaos, the Bretonnians declined to send aid to Magnus the Pious, leaving the men of the Empire and Kislev to defeat the Chaos and Courage without the aid of their other major human realm of the Old World. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't hate Bretonnia. I dislike a lot of things about Bretonnia. Bretonnia is like, I mean, me being cat for communist revolution of power, coolness. Not really a big fan of the whole idea of like a bunch of lords being like, you're a peasant. I really think that the Empire should just conquer Bretonnia and like just make them a much better place. I think that they could probably do that. And I mean, it's not even like the Empire has necessarily like the best treatment of like people and peasants, of like especially of like lower classes and things like that, obviously. But at the same time, like they treat them better than the peasants. But yeah, so there's a kind of a strained relationship there. There is some interaction between the two, but it seems like it's kind of more leaning towards them being like at best ambivalent about each other, and at worst like basically enemies. Now once again, I think it's kind of weird because with Bretonnia the thing I always think about is like especially versus the Empire. The Empire has guns and cannons and way more magic and way one would honestly think that it's not that the Bretonnians couldn't put up a fight, but like with enough handgunners, couldn't you just turn all of their heavy cavalry into paste, basically? Not to mention, you also have pikes, and like, with enough pikes and Zweihanders and things like that, couldn't you basically just, like really decimate the cavalry charge? Like, if you think about, like, historically and compare, like, the Empire kind of, like, to its historical equivalent, like, in, like, the real world, this was, like, around the age where, like, the heavy cavalry was starting to be replaced more and more with like large blocks of infantry and like pikemen and shot. Like it's entering the pike and shot era. So it's just kind of funny to me that these guys from like the 11th or 12th century who don't have as much, but they also just don't have as better stuff. Like the Empire has dwarven steel and all these other things. It just does seem like I would think that the Empire could pretty easily beat the Bretonnians, or at least I think it would be a pretty one-sided fight in a lot of ways. I just kind of, I mean, I guess if you're the Empire, really, you have enough internal issues that the idea of like just running in and defeating the Bretonnians is probably not even really that appealing. Like, yeah, you could do it, but like then you got to go over and start building factories, and then you got to go over and start like administering in a bunch of new land, and they're all like a bunch of feudal lords with like a barely advanced system. So you're just kind of like, I don't know, is it even really worth taking them over? It kind of seems like it would honestly. Oh, I thought maybe I could get away without having to beat this guy up, but hey, I'm gonna come over here and kung fu you. Don't make me do it. Don't make me kung fu you till you're a puyad. What's a puyad? I don't even know what that means, but it's fine. It's cool. It's whatever. I'm still cool, cause I'm Yamina. Give me your change. I'm gonna use it to buy some candy and give it to the kids so that they can have a nice day. Oh, see, I like this. This is a nice color. I like the blue. I'm kind of considering dyeing this armor. Well, I think I might wait till like level 30 when I get a better set of armor, because then it might be more worth it to do that. Oh, hello. Beastmen are some of my favorite. But yeah, so they have a strained relationship with Bretonnia. The Bretonnians kind of seem like they're weird, and I feel like they should probably... Okay, like, during the Great Chaos Invasion, Bretonnians should have helped out the people of Sigmar. It's really weird that they didn't. It's really weird that they didn't. I mean, and once again, it kind of just makes you go, what the heck, Bretonnia? Why are you guys such meanie bobeanies? I'm not gonna sit there. I'm not gonna force you. I'm not gonna force you to do... Ooh, Badlands. That's brown dye. Cool. Lots of dyes. I'm not gonna force you to do it, but at the same time, man, it's just like, what the heck. But now we're going to talk about the Kislevites, and the Kislevites are better off. The Kislevites still remember their alliance with the Empire that brought victory during the Great War against Chaos some 2 centuries ago, and Magnus the Pious came to their aid. When Magnus the Pious came to their aid. Not all in the Empire bear Kislev goodwill, however. The Elector Count of Talbek land remembers his province's ancient claims to large portions of Kislevite territory. Trade between Kislev and the Empire moves mainly along the river in Talbek. Well, so there's actually a lot of examples of the people in Kislev and the people of the Empire fighting together, and people, having generally good views of one another and working together generally. And generally speaking, the Kislevites and obviously the Empire have very different views on a lot of things, but the two of them are actually pretty decent allies. Although Tobaccoland is like, yeah, I want your land. And they're like, well, no, this is our land. And then they go, yeah, but I want it. Silly stuff like that. But, hey, what are you going to do? The Empire is full of weirdo politicians and weirdos who want more land and territory and things and blah, blah, blah. I was recently playing Total War Warhammer 3, and I was, gathering forces together, forming alliances and things like that, and then, like, at one random part... Okay, I'm gonna kick this troll's butt just because I think it would be funny to watch Yamina kung fu a troll into oblivion. What the... The nature works with me. The leaves, they are my friends. They are not your friends, though, are they, Mr. Troll? Because you've got a big pot belly, probably because you ate a bunch of the leaves. She kicks with fists of fury so fast that they can't regenerate. It's just how good she is, But yeah, so there are, generally speaking, pretty good alliances there, and like you do actually have some examples of Kislevites going into outdoor for, going around trading, and some people like to work with them. And there's also like the whole story of like in Gotrek and Felix. There's Ulrika. She's pretty cool and a Kislevite person. One of the longer sections here, though, going through the book and going through websites and things, was on Tilea. And that's actually where the Tilea. So we're gonna go ahead and read a little bit about that. Oh, and that's the kind of the one funny thing. If you in the Warhammer world confuse a Telian and a Stallion for each other, they would want to stab you, and that would be kind of funny to me. Oh. The leaves offer protection. The troll cannot fist me because I move too fast between the leaves. The leaves provide the greatest protection. If you know how to wood elf, but not be a wood elf, your powers will know no bounds. And isn't that great? That's great. What is that troll doing? Oh. I don't know what it was doing. I wanted to get a closer look, but now it's attacking me. Oh well, that's fine. But yeah, Tilea, basically, if you're not super familiar, just imagine fantasy Italy, and then you mostly got it. So that's pretty cool. Apart from the immediate concerns of the war against Chaos and Tribes of the North, the Telian city-states continue their blithe habits of arguing, fighting, and trading with each other. When they are not arguing, fighting, and trading with the Stallions or Arabians, bleh. Arabians, which, and the Arabian people. Oh man, I feel silly for saying it like that. Oh, this egg isn't even defended by anybody. That's cool. Although once, long ago during the reign of Emperor Gunthar II, the Faithful, the Empire ruled much of northern Tilea. Contact between the two realms is largely confined to trade via the middlemen of Marienburg. Though some Telian merchant houses, especially from the cities of Marialago and Ramas, have taken advantage of the recent discovery of the River of Echoes from northern Tilea to Weissenland. I say Weissenland because I don't know if they actually do the thing in the Empire of like where the W's become V's, but Weissenland sounds cooler, so I'm gonna say Weissenland now. The Tilea to Weissenland to set up trading offices in Nuln, Filethorf, and other southern Imperial towns. The Tilean merchants hope to use this as a reliable route to bypass Marienburg and cut costs since the mountain passes are frequently blocked by snow. With the coming of war with the forces of chaos, Tilean influence has increased in military affairs. Tilean mercenaries, particularly their crossbowmen and pikemen, were always a common sight in the Empire, but more and more priests and priestesses of Myrmidia, the southern goddess of war, are taking positions of influence with southern and western imperial nobles as advisors and even field commanders. Weakened the fighting against the forces of chaos, the cult of Ulrich looks askance on this challenge to their influence. Despite this, the Empire has maintained tentative allegiances, or at least states of peaceful coexistence with Tilean city-states for many years. So yeah, everybody likes Tilea because they got the cool mercenaries. They got these like mercenary pikemen who are really cool and good, but they also got these mercenary crossbowmen who have like these big shields. I think they're like the besiegers of Bastilia? No, I can't remember what exactly are. I'd have to look in my Dogs of War book, but I'll get that maybe later or something, because I was kind of considering doing a video entirely about mercenaries in the Empire. But yeah, so basically there's a lot of Tilean mercenaries in the Empire, and now that Myrmidia, you know, this great cool goddess, one of my favorite goddesses in all of Warhammer, is gaining influence in certain southern and western imperial states, you know, they're becoming more common, and you know, the priests of Ulrich are like, but we were always the cool guy. And now they're going, well, we are bringing the cool lady. Take that, sexism. Take it and be like, But Wolf. Well, I mean, I don't know why you couldn't have, like, an Ulrich guy and a Myrmidia lady. Why, I don't know why you couldn't have both. I mean, yeah, why not have, like, a little pantheon? And I guess some Imperial folks do worship, like, in terms of, like, more like a pantheon as opposed to any one individual god. Like, Marcus Kruber from Vermintide 2 mentions he kind of has, like, a pantheon going of, like, Tal, Raya. I think he mentions even Ranald, but also a few different ones. So it's pretty interesting. But yeah, Tilea also has had a lot of inventors and stuff like that come. Like, they're the ones that invented the steam tank, or they're the inventors that came and invented the steam tank, and they influenced, I'm not sure if they invented, but I know they influenced the Hellblaster volley gun, and, you know, like, the Hochland long rifle, or at least a version of it. There's a lot of different, like, things. So Tilea and the Empire are actually decently close, and they have, like, a lot of different, like, resources where they trade back and forth. So I think that's pretty cool. Now, there was also some that I'd never really heard about before this, as I was doing research for this, and I thought this was pretty cool. But this is under the Others category. Far across the stormy Sea of Claws, small Norscan kingdoms generally friendly to the Empire cling to the coast, trying to hold out against chaos-aligned barbarians and berserkers that dominate the interior of Norsca. To the southwest of the Empire, the lands of the Border Princes have long been both a thorn in the side of the Empire and a safety valve for its malcontents. The princes and petty lords of this land must deal with frequent raids by orcs and goblins, some of which are large bands trying to reach the Empire. The local rulers feel that if the Greenskins raise enough trouble in the Empire, then the elector counts of the southern Grand Provinces may decide it's time to re-annex these lands has come, or the time to re-annex these lands has come, where they would try to go and, like, retake over the Border Princes. But yeah, I thought it was kind of neat. I didn't really know about the Norscan thing where they actually had some friends in Norsca. But yeah, I would totally send people to help out the Norscans, especially if they're not worshiping the Chaos Gods, or if they're not, you know, all crazy about the Chaos Gods. I would definitely send people to help them out and be friends. But, you know, honestly, the thing that's kind of interesting is, other than kind of sounds like Bretonnia mostly. They do actually have a pretty decent relationship with a lot of their surrounding kingdoms. Yeah, there's some tension here and there, but like the Empire is actually pretty good in terms of diplomacy. I mean, they've had eras where people are much more about the idea of like going to war and like trying to, you know, beat up people who don't just immediately submit to their rule. But in a lot of cases, you actually have some pretty strong alliances here. I, in particular, like the idea of like their relationships with Tilea. And I've always, but of course, I've always been a fan of Tilea. And of course, my favorite province in all of the Empire is Averland, which is one of the closest ones to Tilea. And it's one of the southern provinces. And one of the provinces where there's lots of worship of Myrmidia. Huh, there's another egg there, but I don't think. Oh well. But I've always been a big fan of those different provinces and things like that. And I do think that that's probably some of the more. Oh, moving hard green dye. Cool. Now, where did they say there was one? Karazakarak. Okay. But yeah, and they also, as previously discussed, they have good relationships with dwarves, and they have good relationships with the elven kingdoms. And well, of course, with both of those, it kind of depends who's in charge. Karl Franz, one of the reasons he's one of my favorite emperors is because he's very diplomatic, and he's always trying to maintain good relationships with different people. So yeah, it's actually pretty neat to see the interconnections with a lot of these different places and how like they'll trade supplies with each other and trade troops. And there's a lot of Telean mercenaries, but there's also like Kizlevites who fight alongside the Empire, and there's some tension in Bretonnia. But for me personally, at least when I play Warhammer Total War 3, I tend to just try to conquer Bretonnia, and then bring them more civilization and less abuse of peasants, because I don't like the abuse of peasants part. But there's a you could also try to resolve that peacefully, and there's all kinds of different things going on here. And there's also different trade from different provinces within the empire itself, and then you add all the trade that comes in through the provinces and Marienburg and all this. It's really cool to see how like mixed up and cosmopolitan the empire is, and also to see like all the different kinds of people and how they interact together. But yeah, I think that's really neat. I hope you enjoyed me talking about this and also running around and being a kung fu knight. I think that was pretty fun. So yeah, if I hope you like that, maybe like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, like the people tell you to do. And I hope that God blesses you, and I hope that you have an absolutely wonderful, terrific, great-tastic day, and praise Sigmar, praise Mermedia, praise Makali, praise Krishna, praise Jesus, praise all of them, really. And hopefully you get a big hug from God and me and a big fluffy cat, because I'm a big fluffy cat, and you can get a hug from me. Okay, bye for now.